829 words, within the 5% band, 807, 892. Here's the complete narration script. In 1993, researchers wired scalp electrodes to volunteers running a simple button press test and caught something they still can't fully explain. Within 80 milliseconds of a wrong keystroke, before the person even registered the mistake, a sharp electrical spike fired from deep in the front of the brain. 80 milliseconds is faster than a blink. It's faster than the conscious mind can process that anything went wrong at all. So how does a 2-inch strip of tissue called the anterior cingulate cortex know you're wrong before you do? And why, decades later, do most psychology courses still reduce it to a single dry sentence in a footnote? The anterior cingulate sits wrapped around the corpus callosum, dead center of the brain, hidden beneath the fold where the two hemispheres meet. Unlike the amygdala or the hippocampus, it never got its own headline discovery, no single dramatic patient like Phineas Gage to make it famous. Researchers found it piece by piece, through EEG labs in the early 90s and surgical wards decades before that. William Jaring's team at Michigan was among the first to isolate the signal in 1993, naming it the error-related negativity. It looked at first like a tidy internal alarm bell. Simple, containable. Easy to teach in one slide. Then the anomalies started stacking. The signal fired even on errors the subject never consciously noticed, trials where people insisted afterward they'd gotten every answer right. The brain flagged the mistake and the person never knew. That's not an alarm bell ringing for someone to hear. That's a system operating entirely outside awareness, correcting or at least logging failure in the dark. Researchers assumed conscious correction was the point of the signal. The data said otherwise. The obvious theory was that the anterior cingulate was just a feedback loop, a monitor comparing intended action against actual outcome, flagging mismatches, nothing more mysterious than a smoke detector. Tidy story, teachable in 90 seconds. Fits neatly beside the amygdala's fear response and the hippocampus's memory stamp, one more clean box in the diagram. But then come the cingulotomy patients. Surgeons treating intractable chronic pain and severe OCD sometimes destroy a small section of the anterior cingulate directly, a procedure still performed today. Patients wake up and when you touch a heated probe to their skin, they still say it's hot. They rate the temperature accurately. The sensory signal is intact, untouched, exactly as it was before surgery. What's gone is the suffering. They describe the same stimulus and say, flatly, that it no longer bothers them. Pain without anguish. Heat without dread. If the anterior cingulate were only a mismatch detector, cutting it should silence the alarm, not surgically remove the part of pain that makes it feel like pain in the first place. That's the detail nobody quite prepares you for. Somewhere in that 2-centimeter strip of cortex, the brain keeps a switch that separates a sensation from how much it should matter to you. Separates the fact of an error, or an injury, or a failure from the emotional weight normally bolted onto it. Damage the region entirely in the rarer syndrome called a kinetic mutism, and a patient sits motionless for hours, fully awake, fully capable of moving and speaking, simply never generating the impulse to do either. Not paralyzed, not confused, just missing the internal push that turns capability into action. So why does a structure this strange get compressed into a single footnote in most intro courses? The easy explanation is timing. It's a comparatively recent discovery, decades younger than Broca's or Wernicke's neat, quotable areas. But newer findings about the hippocampus made it into textbooks within a few years of discovery. Recency alone doesn't explain the silence. Another theory says its function is just too diffuse, too tangled up with attention, motivation, and pain all at once to summarize in one clean sentence. Closer but still incomplete, plenty of diffuse systems get simplified for teaching without being dropped almost entirely. Here's what actually breaks the case open. Standard curricula are built on a stimulus-response model. Input arrives, region lights up, output follows. Fear equals amygdala, memory equals hippocampus. Clean boxes, clean arrows. The anterior cingulate doesn't fit that architecture. It reveals that suffering, effort, and even the sense of having erred are not fixed properties of an event, but a separate layer the brain bolts on afterward, when it can, with a scalpel or a lesion, quietly remove. That idea doesn't simplify into a diagram. It unsettles the whole model. So it got left out, not because it was unimportant, but because it was inconvenient to teach. Which leaves the same question those 1993 electrodes first raised, still sitting there unresolved. If your brain can know you're wrong before you do, and can be made to stop caring about pain while still feeling every degree of the heat, What exactly has been doing the suffering all along?